Hello everyone, and welcome on another World of Darkness news show. A show in which I realize that my hair color changes week by week, and today it's a little bit more green. So yeah, my La Sombra skills are slowly unlocking, it seems. Hello everyone, and welcome to the week of some new things and releases and campaigns starting very much in the board game / card game sphere, as much as last week was going very much under the big name of video games, and in particular Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood. This week is more dedicated to the hands-on gaming experience and board games and card games, so we're going to talk a lot about that, but we also have some brand updates. We've worked a bit more on the Dark Pack, and we're going to talk about this a bit today, and also we are having a very cool guest joining us to talk about a topic about which I know very little, but I want to know more. So to give you a big announcement of what we're going to talk about today, we're going to have, first of all, Alex Abrate from LevelUp Dice. He's a CEO of the company, and you probably saw those magnificent, beautiful, exclusive V5 dice that LevelUp Dice is making, but they have a lot of more things in their dice library, dice-brary, if that's the name. That should be the name. Like let's be honest, it sounds pretty good. And yeah, we're going to start with that. So then we're going to talk about the start of the Vampire the Masquerade Chapters pre-order campaign. They have a very cool trailer they want to show you because it's really kick-ass. We're going to talk about the Vampire the Masquerade Rivals and where you can play it pretty soon, because the release is happening tomorrow, and the updates to the Dark Pack that we feel like it's pretty good to include more and more things in the Dark Pack. But what is Dark Pack if you don't know, and what it entails now, we will talk about that later. As for now, I'm going to join Alex on the call and see if he's waiting there for us. Let's check it out. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi Alex, I can hear you, I can see you, and now our audience can see you as well. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, it is 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's a perfect family time, isn't it?
I am so sorry that I made you wake up so early, or actually maybe stay up so late. I'm not sure which one you've picked, but you are connecting with us from Australia, aren't you?
I sure am.
That's great, and I guess this is a very good start. We're going to talk a little bit more about Australia later, but could we start with you introducing yourself to our audience? So, Alex, who are you and what do you do?
Great. So my name is Alex Brady, and I am the CEO of LevelUp Dice. That means that I try to figure everything out and then make a lot of messes and then fix it all again. A lot of creation work. I am sort of the that typical artisty guy who comes up with all the crazy ideas, and then my whole team tells me, how can we possibly make these happen? And then somehow magically they do. That
They
really
do.
sums up what I do for a living.
Yeah, and some of the outcomes of your work are pretty magical indeed, and we're going to talk about some of them. But let's touch a little bit more on the Australia thing first, because not sure if that's still a thing, but at least back in the days, LevelUp Dice was the only dice-making company in Australia, right? You guys started it there.
That's correct, and we're still the only manufacturer over here. There are a few more dice adjacent dice companies, dice stores that are popping up, which is great. You know, the whole RPG industry has had a resurgence, as for everyone here knows, since around, you know, the rebreach around 216, 217, and to see the games that I played when I was really, you know, young, back in like the 80s and 90s, become a full round circle, and everyone's enjoying them now, and it's it's exciting time, really. And to see that growth not only in the US and Europe but also in Australia has been really rewarding.
It must be, and I'm actually wondering, how does one become a CEO of a dice-making company? Were you a role player at first, and was that a dream of yours to like one day make awesome dice, or how did it go?
Yeah, well, so I've been role playing for a long time. I started playing Vampire in second edition. Still have my second edition books, and D&D and everything else as well, of course. But I didn't actually have an aspiration to make dice. Back in 2015, October, I was having a sabbatical. I used to do business coaching and work for banking. And I had about a 4-week period off. And as you do in a sabbatical, I was designing a board game and writing a book. And about 2 weeks in, I turned around to my wife and I said, you know what? I deserve a fancy set of dice. And she was like, yeah, you do. Go for it. So I jumped online and searched around. And the only place that really had what I wanted had a delay of about 6 to 8 months to get the set of dice.
Oh.
And I like things now in the moment. And I stood up in a bit of rage and I was like, this is ridiculous. I could do better. And my wife turned to me and said, yes, you could. And I was like, I wasn't really being serious. And she's like, no, I reckon you could do better. And her whole family is in manufacturing. And so she was like, look, I'm going to hook you up with my mum at the moment. She's currently in between Russia and China importing a whole bunch of stone. She does large semi-precious stones. And literally a week later, I was on a plane flying over there to sort of learn how to make dice because she thought I could do it. And here I am like 5 years later.
That's amazing. This is like a super cool story. And is it all because of your wife? Is she still like making the dice with you right now? Is this a family business?
She's not into dice at all.
Okay.
And I think we're being successful because we haven't been a family business. There's a lot of chances for family businesses to not go well. You usually hear about high percentages. So I'm really lucky that I've had that, that sort of a puppet behind the scenes pushing me to make sure that I'm doing a great job, but not actually getting involved, which I think is a really good sort of combination for a successful business as well.
That's great. So from the moment when the idea started in your head and this conversation happened to the moment where you were able to manufacture your first set of dice, how long did it take? And what was your first set of dice that you pushed out to the public?
So the idea came in around September 2015. And by October, I had my first, I guess we can call them dice, my first shapes of stone that potentially you could roll, but they weren't very, very well designed. And my favorite color is purple. And so, of course, the first stone I had to try was amethyst. And I still have them. I actually don't have them on this desk. I've got crazy dice all over my desk, but they definitely would not pass as a set of dice if I showed anyone these days. But they were the first thing I'd actually created out of stone using the materials we had available. My one of our cousins had a jewelry factory, and I'd gone up to him and gone, hey, I want to make dice. And he's like, yeah, you're crazy. Don't bother. And I'm like, well, how about if I take a little portion, 10 foot by 10 foot, and I just borrow your machines and everything else and we can learn. And so literally, in the corner, they're designing and figuring out with a couple other guys there how we're going to do this because we had no clue. And yeah, that was about 3-4 months of learning the basics before we had our first set. And then our first real set, I reckon, was around a couple months later, so around November 2015.
That's great. It's not a long time, it seems, but of course it was back in the days when dice making wasn't that much popularized. These days, I feel like the times changed a lot with multiple tutorials online and with people selling their dice on Etsy and trying to do them at home in limited amounts, of course. But how do you feel, in your perspective as a dice maker, this whole market changed in between when you started and right now?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. We actually held a competition in October last year. So we did a artist appreciation month. We grabbed a whole bunch of handmade artists because, to have an industry start and then end up in people's houses and have the ability to have people make their own dice is a true reflection of a successful industry that's growing. So from someone who's been part of the industry for a while, that just means that, hey, this is a really good opportunity. It's a great growth. Everyone's enjoying it. Everyone's loving it. But we actually had a competition of naming this period of the dice world, the dice evolution, like, kind of like a dice renaissance, so to speak, because you've got all these amazing artists popping up as well. So that was really exciting for people coming up with different names of what it was going to be like. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm absolutely loving it because you get more ideas and everything else. There's only so much every person can think of, right? I'm definitely an out-of-box thinker, so I come up with some really dumb ideas that turn out to be good.
Shoot us with one of the dumbest ones. Come on.
one of the dumbest ideas I've ever had. Well, and I'm gonna make it happen one day. I kid you not. But I've been working on trying to make this work for about 2017. What's that? About 3.5, 4 years, and I just cannot. It's just not coming together. Is I want to make a set of Voltron dice. So literally a set of 7 dice that all come together and form something else. And then you can all pull them apart and use them. I mean, everybody who I tell in manufacturing is like, you're crazy. How are you going to design that? But I'm going to do it. I'll make a Voltron set.
I'm sure you will. And speaking of that, I'm really curious about materials. I am not that much of a dice goblin myself, but I am always curious whenever I see collections of my friends. They have the dice made of bone, of stone, of marble, of various different materials which feel so much different. And what do you think is the easiest and the most difficult medium to work with when it comes to dice?
So easiest is definitely going to be resin. Just because it is such a malleable piece of material. And we don't do a lot of work in resin. We're starting to do a bit more now, which is really good. But that's probably the simplest and why it's so accessible to home dice makers as well. The most difficult is a toss-up. It'll be between titanium, which actually have my titanium D20 here at the moment, but and the reason this is really difficult is because when we're CNCing it, when you cut it and you're cutting it at very small levels, very tiny levels, any little filaments that fly off have the ability to spark, and so you can actually have, if you're not taking good care of it, potential fire coming out of it. So it's very dangerous in that sort of regard. But probably even more one step further. So a couple of times in the last couple of years, we've made dice out of World War II tank armor. Actual physical tanks. Yeah, so like a Panzer IV, a Stuttgart 3, an M3 Grant, and that metal is a composite of multiple metals altogether. It's not like just a straight steel. So part of the process of us figuring out how to best cut it is actually to do full meteorological analysis to figure out what components are in there, what sort of tooling tips we're going to need. And I'm happy to admit that we've destroyed a few diamond and ruby jewel tips trying to work on some tank dice as well.
That's super fascinating. And now I need to ask you a question, whether there are any materials that you haven't made dice of just yet, but you want to? Something that wasn't maybe possible for you just yet, or maybe it's just super hard to do or get?
Well, I've got my 3 white whales at the moment. So I want to work with aerogel, which is the lightest material in the world. So you literally, the dice can nearly float in the air. But every test we've done we can't get the shaping correct yet. So that's really cool. I want to make some depleted uranium dice, but there's a whole different world of requirements to make that happen. And then
fascinating.
It'll be amazing. And then probably the coolest for I'm a bit of a Star Trek nerd as well, is they've just taken out of military use and to commercial use transparent aluminium or aluminum for any American viewers. So being able to make actual kind of like that Star Trek space dice would be really cool.
That's great, and that's of course in the sphere of what can be done. But I know that there were some super amazing projects you have done already, and I've seen some extremely impressive dice on your Instagram account and on social media. You're sharing a lot of them. Is there any particular set of dice you're particularly proud of, either visually or design-wise?
All of them. Probably the set I actually keep myself as well is. Very rarely we manage to get a few kilos of Charorite. So Charorite is a stone which is purple. You get a theme here, but you can only get from northern Siberia, and Russia actually regulates how much of the material leaves the country every year. It is absolutely stunning. I'm going to put the spelling of it in chat now. Curated,
Charorite.
if anyone wants to look it up. But I've managed to make, since conception, 5 sets, and I've kept one, and 4 other very special individuals ended up getting those sets as well. So that's probably the most proud sort of material I've been able to make.
That's great. And we are talking, of course, about the rare ones, the ones that are not available to a massive audience. But when it comes to those which are available, I want you to talk a little bit about the Vampire the Masquerade dice, which you guys have available, because I've been able to play with them during Vain Pursuit campaign that we've done earlier last year. And when I saw them at first, I was just in love with how they looked like. And those, especially with those red sparkles that you've added to them. Could you describe how the process of making them worked and which ones are available?
For sure. So we've just actually released 3 new styles. So we've got the Lasombra, Ministry, and Hecata.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, yeah. Hecata ones as well. And then we had 10 more before that, everything from Anarch to Tremere to all your mains. I mean, to the Rose, to Toreador, who I usually play. Now, all of those are made out of anodized aluminium. We use 6063 grade aluminium, which is an aircraft grade aluminium. The really cool thing with what we do with our dice is that everything's CNC'd. So we have a billet, and from the billet, we actually then cut out to the dice. So instead of a lot of companies which make metal dice who cast it, so they pour it in, because we're cutting away, we can get a lot more finite in regards to the actual design, shape, and center of gravity accuracy. And one step further, we do a lot of engraving on dice as well. For the VTM dice, we've used laser etching, which actually reduces the amount of potential center of gravity off-putting, because it actually doesn't remove density weight. It actually changes the density shapes as well. So what you've got is, as opposed to a normal die, which has an engraving in it, which could potentially cut out the weight, this is a flat surface, so there's no weight difference at all. So they're the most accurate, perfectly balanced dice in the industry, which is really exciting. I think we had ours rated at 99.95% center of gravity accurate, because the place we went to do it said, there's nothing man-made that's perfectly center of gravity accurate, so we can't give you a higher rating.
That's great.
Crap. Yeah, so they're beautiful to spin around as well. The anodizations are hard anodizations, so the colors will last a long time. Now, keeping in mind, any kind of metal, any kind of material, if you use the material on the material, it's potentially going to scratch. So don't crunch these around in your hand, but if you roll them well, they can last you a long, long time as well.
Yeah, and they are actually super satisfactory to roll because of their heaviness. They're pretty heavy, but I doubt that they are the heaviest ones of the ones you have available, right? What's the lightest and what are the heaviest dice that you have in your portfolio?
Definitely. So for those who've played with metal dice out there before, most likely you've played with zinc dice, which is a zinc core. It's extremely heavy compared to plastic. Imagine meeting halfway between plastic and zinc, and you get your aluminium. So it's a lighter metal. It's not going to damage your friends' tables, which is fine. But if you do want to damage your friends' tables, we then offer things like copper, which is 100% copper. So it's got a patina to those greens over time. Brass, stainless steel, which is food quality grade. So you can stick it in the freezer and then pop in your gin or your vodka while you're playing as well. All the way up to one of the heaviest materials on Earth, which is tungsten. So if you want a set of dice that will literally dent any table, then you can have that as well. And they just feel absolutely amazing. But yeah, you definitely need a proper tray to roll them in, that's for sure.
And because of we are talking about other things than dice, than like trays, you do also have other things available in your portfolio, right? The dice is not the only things that LevelUp Dice is making.
Yeah, so a lot of what we do in regards to dice adjacency. We have a lot of other projects we work on. Whenever possible, we try to work on stone and metal because that's our main mediums. We've done some really cool life counters recently with a conjunction with Game to Grow, which is a really good non-profit organization. And we have a partnership with Wormwood where we have trays and different cases as well with them, which is cool. Now, one step further, it allows us with these partnerships we have as well to sometimes play with some really cool ideas. Probably my favorite is every year on Halloween, we release a special Halloween only set that comes with a very cool designed box from Wormwood as well. And they're limited run, so like one of 31 or one of 13, depending on what year it was. So keeping an eye out on all the cool little things we release. We do lots of small run pieces because it's all about collectability as opposed to just like we're not a mass produced. Even our normal dice, we actually do design in-house 2 to 3 fonts a year, and we rotate and do new fonts. So a set of dice that you bought 2 years ago when you saw us at a show, if you were to buy a similar set now, would be different. So that you've got something collectible and unique.
That's great. And I've also seen when I browsed your social media and I was like checking out all the cool dice that you actually employ a lot of people who do play with dice making at home, and they do either make their own dice or customize their dice with their own tools at home. So would you have any advice for people who would like to start doing that at their own desks? You know, we have a times when we are not spending much time outside, and it's a very good time to explore new hobbies. How would you say it will be a good way in to start doing your first dice set?
For sure, there's like 2 main resources. And talking about stuff, a little known bit of information is every single person who works for LevelUp Dice was a customer first that I then poached. I was like, oh, you should come work for me. And they're like, ha, ha, ha. And next thing you know, they're working for me.
That's great.
But yeah, if you want to start making your own dice, there's 2 resources I would definitely suggest. The first would be Dice Making Discoveries, which is a Facebook group. And everyone there is working on designing and how to make dice. So it's a really good community. And then there's a YouTuber called Ribonator. And he has some of the best how-to videos on the wide web as well. And those are 2 really good resources if you want to start playing around with making dice.
Do you think it's expensive to start it if I have no tools at home that are specifically meant for working with any of these textures and materials? What do you think would be the first initial investment for someone who just wants to, I want to make my own first set of dice?
That's a tough question. I mean, like, I'm the kind of guy that if I'm going to do something, I go all in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm now running a dice company.
We see that with the quality of your dice.
Yeah. So, putting aside $1,500 roughly to get yourself a good pressure pot, get yourself good resin molds and everything else is probably the sort of upper limit of where you want to aim. You can definitely start a lot less than that. Again, I'm always kind of like, you're going to do something, do it right first off. But you can start making dice, from as low as couple $100 as well. It's not too expensive to get into, but when you want to start getting it to this level of this looks really cool, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money as well.
So now we're going to diverge for a little bit into the World of Darkness before I will ask you a very non-World of Darkness question, but I want to ask you very quickly about your personal history with role-playing, because you've came up with those excellent clan dice for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, and I was wondering whether this was something that, your interest in World of Darkness just happened recently, or maybe this was something that was longer than that.
Yeah, like I was playing in the What universe back in the mid to late 90s. So about 96, 97 is when I got into Vampire the Masquerade, when I had made my first ever Toreador. And then I actually went to some live events, because back then that was one of the only ways we could interact without going to groups. I mean, we had no internet back then. So I played some live action as well. I still have my Jihad trading card game decks as well, because I'm a big CCGer. So, that was a wonderful, I thought it was a great card game, but I guess it didn't do very well compared to the other large names we won't mention at the moment. But yeah, I've always been in and out of the world. Yeah, I remember the first time we brought home one of the guys playing us brought home the Mage book, and we're like, oh my god, we can expand further as well. I even still have it's not up there, is it? The collector's edition of the World of Darkness, the Vampire the Masquerade computer game that came out in the late 90s that I've totally blanked on the name. It was Redemption, where you could actually play as a DM, right?
Yes, there was like a multiplayer mode in there where you could DM, yeah.
And it was revolutionary because there was very few games that allowed you to have that sort of dungeon mastery experience or game master experience while also having people to play. I mean, it was buggy as hell, but it was just amazing. And I remember we used to get together and have LANs. So, you have like 10 of us all connecting coaxial network cables together to be able to play a half an hour module that I designed in the game that everyone got to go and break, which was great. So I've been in World of Darkness for a while.
And that's great. I'm super happy that this evolved into you making those super awesome dice. And I'm sure I'm going to get a ministry one for myself. But now on to the very non-World of Darkness question, just as the very last one. You do have one crowdfunding project that is ongoing for LevelUp Dice right now. And I feel like, a lot of our players are playing various systems from RPG-verse. So feel free to let us know what you're cooking there.
I think we have exactly 33 minutes to go until the
33 minutes.
33 minutes until it closes. So what we did was we tried to break the mold, and I'm sure everyone here probably understands this more than any other community out there, that most sets of dice are sold as 7-set dice: D4, D6, D8, D10, D100, 12, and 20. And not everyone uses that. My rogue in Dungeons & Dragons does not use a D12 or a D8, so why the heck do I need to buy one? So we designed a curated system where we had 200 different designs on dice. So everything from a spear to a fireball, for example, across every kind of dice. If you wanted a D4 spear, you could get an actual die that has the spear motif on it in a D4, and you can design your own set of dice of whatever you need. Funny enough, I play a Ratling on LevelUp TTV, which is another Twitch channel. And the spear D4 actually looks kind of like a rat tail, and the rat tail does a D4 damage. So I was like, that's my perfect rat tail dice damage as well. For those wanting to have a look at it, it's called the Adventurous Curated Dice Collection by LevelUp Dice. It's not a mouthful, I swear. We'll probably throw a link in chat if we're allowed.
Sure. Let me know if I can permit anyone in chat who is. Oh, there we go. I think it was
Curated.
Yes. Perry. Yeah. Let me just very quickly permit you. Let me very quickly permit you. Okay, you should be able.
So yeah, the really cool thing is we have 20, we'll have 20 colors to choose from, including multicolors. So between 20 colors and 200 designs, there's literally 4,000 different dice available that you'll be able to select in the backer kit. So even if you pledge like $1 now, I think $10 is the minimum. In the next 2 weeks, we'll be releasing a backer kit that lets you then buy more and select every single die to make your perfectly curated one as well.
Feel free to post the link right now because you should be able to. I've just gave you a permit.
31 minutes.
There we go. That's awesome. I'm very happy that we were able to get this interview right at the end of your campaign because I'm sure that our folks who play Vampire the Masquerade also sometimes need different dice that are always useful. But where can we check out your Vampire the Masquerade dice if you're interested in them?
Definitely. So we actually, because we're an Australian company, but we've grown, so we're multinational now. We are at levelupdice.net, but when you go there, it should automatically select either the Australian or the American warehouse based on your geographical location. If not, it'll let you choose. So when you're ordering dice from us, we'll order at the closest location. Now, we are rumor mill, working hard on also getting a location in Europe, most likely Ireland, but I didn't tell you this.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that we can have European shipping soon as well, once COVID lifts and we can actually travel again, because I know that European shipping is a whole different element. But at the moment, we've got 2 locations around the world. The dice are available at both those locations. If you just go to levelupdice.net and in the search type in vampire, you'll be able to see the 13 different varieties we have in the standard and blood versions as well.
That's great. And Alex, it was a pleasure to have you here. I mean, the passion for dice making seems to be very clearly just beaming from you, and it's amazing. So if people want to get to know your stuff better and what you do, where can we follow you online? Where can we find you?
So you can follow at LevelUp Dice for any LevelUp Dice side of things. You can also follow at Alex Abrate if you want to see my stupid musings of what I get up to on Instagram or on Twitter as well. Some of it's dice related. Other thing, I just bought a house and have a 3-month-old, so a lot of it is dealing with kids and fixing problems that you find in a house after you bought one as well.
That's very relatable. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining us, and cannot wait to get my ministry dice. And thank you so much for all the awesome work you're doing.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you. Bye. So guys, that was Alex. Oh my god, I loved this interview. It was so fun. I actually know very little about dice making, and this is like embarrassing. And then whenever my friends just ask me about the dice I have, my personal dice collection, I just feel embarrassed to answer, because I am the kind of a player that was always attending RPG clubs or RPG sessions with my friends when I was younger, and I was always borrowing dice from other people. I never had my own set as a teenager and as a younger person, but I finally got my own dice with the V5 when the V5 arrived, and I finally have some dice at least. But I definitely need more now, especially after I had this interview and talked to Alex, but also after I talked to another Alex, Alexander Ward, which you probably know from LA by Night. He has an excellent dice collection, and I visited him on his stream recently. I was just watching when he was playing Bloodlines, and he had amazing collection of dice around him that he starts showing off to the screen, and since then I am hooked. I need more. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, because I had a lot of fun with it. And if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat, and in the meantime I'll be going forward with the news for today. And we're going to start with another very much hands-on TTRPG experience, and that is Vampire the Masquerade Chapters. Pre-order campaign has launched officially, and you can check it out on, we linked it on our social media, we also linked it on the Flyos Games, linked it on their profiles as well. So there are 2 news here. First, of course, the pre-order campaign is open, and you can now buy the game, and you can get your favorite set, you can expand it however you want, but also they have decided to add another story expansion with Clan Hecata. And there's a very nice preview of that clan and their little board on Flyos Games social media, so you can check it out. One of the things that I really like about Chapters is how very much of a clan-oriented experience it showcases in a lot of ways. You can check out the Gangrel preview, and I think also a Ventru one, if it's still available, on Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator. So if you have either of these, Tabletopia is free, I believe. You can check out the digital version of the prologue for Clan Gangrel, and probably Ventru as well. I know for sure they played Gangrel, it was great. So it should show you how this game looks like and how it operates. This box is going to contain a lot of things, miniatures, cards, boards to play on, but what it basically is, it's a storyteller in a box. It's a way for you to play a TTRPG chronicle without the storyteller. And you can pick your own clan, for example. You can start with your own clan story, and you advance your character, you advance your character sheet as you move through the scenarios. And with the amount of cards that are available in the box, the replayability is just huge. You can replay these scenarios and have a lot of different outcomes. And you can play this game alone, you can play it with friends. So if you are a basement dweller like myself who just wants to play games with yourself, then this is a very good option to just storytell in your own personal company with your box as your storyteller. It's really fun. And of course, it has some really great quality artworks and miniatures, and I really advise you to check it out online. But I guess one of the good things to show in this particular moment is going to be the trailer video for this pre-order campaign. Check it out, it's pretty awesome. I hope you'll like it. That's pretty cool, isn't it? The question from the chat is whether I can ask Flyers Games to post a picture of the box with a banana for a scale. I think we should do that. I haven't seen the box myself. I can only imagine it's big. I mean, Heritage, which I own, is about this big. So I can only assume that the Chapters is, if not wider, then probably taller, because it seems like it's like two board games stuck on top of each other with the size. So yeah, I feel it's a good idea to ask them about the banana comparison. But yeah, as you could see in the trailer, this game contains a lot of the various different elements and scenarios, and the ways to go for this game are kind of similar to the TTRPG campaign. So if you play as a gangrel character in the gangrel prologue, you'll be able to see that. You will have some combat elements, you will have some sneaking as well. So there's these elements which can be familiar to you if you ever role-played Vampire the Masquerade. You don't need to have any Vampire the Masquerade experience to play this game either. It's a very good introduction, but it's also fun for people who played it so far. But then you also have clans who are more socially driven, and some more situations which can be resolved with dialogues. And the dialogue cards in this game seem endless. There are so many cards that you can get through in order to get through the dialogues and pick particular choices. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure story with a lot of the assets in the box to allowing you to branch out. So I really recommend this one. I feel like it's not only beautiful, but from what I've played in the prologue so far, it seems super fun, and the artwork is just great. So it should be really fun for those of you guys who want to check out this different way of role-playing, as it's very much of a role-playing / board game hybrid. So that would be it for Chapters, but we also have one more card game we're going to talk about today. The card game, if you watched the news show, this should be something very much familiar to you. Vampire the Masquerade Rivals releases officially tomorrow, and I am extremely happy that this is happening. I have some people in the office who are like, this is better than Magic the Gathering, but I don't know if it can be compared to any other existing card games, but we enjoy Rivals a lot. And it's a game that has been really a very fun. The fun factor of it has been really making us miss like being in the office and playing together to be able to determine who is the best rival. But you can play this game from 2 to 4 players, and if you haven't played it so far, you will be able to check it out this weekend during Renegade Con. Renegade Con is starting on Friday, and they are opening the digital tables for Vampire the Masquerade Rivals on their Discord. So if you are wondering on how to join, how to check it out, you can join Renegade Game Studios Discord. Check it out on social media. Once you Google Renegade Game Studios, it should be very easy to find it. They have the full schedule for Renegade Con published as well. I'm going to probably be there for a second with a little interview aimed for the new audiences of Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness. So if you have some board game fans who have never ever done anything with World of Darkness or played any of the games, they can check it out. They will have a pretty good introduction to it. But this is this is a pretty much of the one of the chances to play this game without having it physically. So I feel like it's a good occasion to check it out. We're not going to play the Werewolf the Apocalypse video game this week. We have played it last week though, so if you want to check the gameplay. I actually haven't uploaded the last week's episode to YouTube as of the stream happening right now. It's going to be on YouTube once this episode will be aired as well, because we were waiting for Twitch to unlock the music, which was muted at the beginning of the stream. Kaita Angeta was unfortunately muted, but we made sure with the Airblood team and with Twitch that it's whitelisted and it shouldn't be an issue for any influencers who are using it in their gameplays, or as we did with the new show. So if you are wondering about Airblood, it is out and we are very glad that a lot of people are enjoying it. So Rivals releases tomorrow. It's a competitive expandable card game, which is kind of like a collectible card game, but it comes with a set of 4 decks already. So if you buy the basic box, you will have the 4 sets, and then you can expand them with additional decks. The additional decks are going to be announced in the future, but one of the first ones was picked by community, and they picked Clan La Sombra, which is going to be added next. The basic decks are Toreador, Malkavian, Ventru, and Bruja. I've played personally Bruja and Toreador and enjoyed it a lot. I feel like I'm going to tackle Malkavian next. And if you have any questions about Rivals, Renegade has a very good Twitch channel and YouTube channel where they post a lot of content around this. There's also a game of Rivals in which I've played available on YouTube. So if you want to see how it works in practice, you can check this out. Yeah, Rivals is a card game. It's an expandable card game, and it is available digitally during the events that Renegade is organizing. So if you want to play it on Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator, it's going to be available this way tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, right? Yeah, tomorrow. Just join the Renegade Con Discord and you'll be able to check it out. So yeah, that's it for Vampire the Masquerade Rivals, released tomorrow. Please let us know how you enjoy it. If you will either play it digitally or get it physically, let us know how it plays. We enjoy it a lot, so I really hope that you guys are going to like it too. Also, really good artworks for this game made by Amy Wilkins, who is also an artist for Vampire the Masquerade Night Road and some other products that we have out already. She's awesome. We had her on the show as the interviewee, as the guest, so you can check it out on our YouTube as well. Okay, guys, this is something really fun. So we've been working recently to update the Dark Pack. A little bit of water before before I get into that. So what is Dark Pack? Dark Pack is the agreement. It's kind of a not a very common thing for brands as World of Darkness to have, but we decided, like, before, I don't want to say we because I wasn't yet working with World of Darkness when Dark Pack was introduced, but World of Darkness decided a few years ago, I guess it was. It's not a very new thing, but Dark Pack is basically an agreement which allows community to create things based on World of Darkness legally. So, of course, it has some limitations to it. It cannot be completely open because that would be a licensing issue. But we really want people who create any content based on World of Darkness to know exactly what they can do, know exactly what are the frames, and in these frames, you are completely free to do whatever you want. want and share it with community, because we believe that community creations is something that drove World of Darkness for a long time. There was a lot of community efforts to make sure to have World of Darkness visible in various places in the world and make sure that the community is thriving. So I personally love the fact that this allows people to have a very clear indication of, hey, I can do this and I will never get into legal trouble for using the Tremere logo or using the name Camarilla or anything like that. So it's pretty useful. So we expanded it a little bit, mostly because we got a lot of emails every single week regarding Dark Pack and whether you can create this or that, and how exactly the creation works. So you can read the updated Dark Pack on our website, but to give you some highlights from it, first of all, I made sure that it's very clear that all of the World of Darkness community creators can get revenue from YouTube, from Twitch, from Patreon, Ko-fi, whatever kind of revenue you're gathering this way, it's fine as long as the things that are based on World of Darkness, which you are providing, are free. So you are able to create your own community campaigns or your own character sheets and other assets which are helpful for role-playing campaigns as long as they're free. So for example, Talon is creating awesome editable V5 character sheets, which I'm personally using. I love Talon sheets, they're great. And this is completely fine because they're available for free. Talon can open a Patreon and can get money through YouTube or AdSense on his blog, but as long as he's not charging money to use this particular character sheet, it's great to make. And we also expanded it. This is big. This is like probably the biggest change that you will see in the Dark Pack, to the mobile apps. So people have been creating some mobile apps for World of Darkness, like character editors. And as long as these apps do not have any monetization in them, so they are not paid, they do not have ads or in-app purchases, they are absolutely cool to go. So this is something that we've been, there's a lot of legal issues with making these things just, available to everyone, because there's a lot of law issues in various countries of how the software laws work, but this is what we were able to cook from it, and I'm very happy because this already has given birth to some of the community apps which are available. Like there's a Vampire the Masquerade V5 sheet maker made by one of the community members that is completely free on the App Store, on the Play Store for Google, and you can use it, and it's really useful. So it's really fun. So as long as the apps are free, they cannot have any in-app purchases, or they can't be paid. They are fine if you want to make them. So what includes fanfiction? Fanfiction is, I believe, also included in the Dark Pack. Just check it out exactly how it's worded in there. When it comes to any literary works, like if you want to make a book or anything like that regarding World of Darkness and World of Darkness materials, that will be the Storytellers Vault, which is a part of our community creative sphere, let's say. So if you want to create a book or anything like this, this is going to be a place to go. But when it comes to your own personal writing that you want to publish on your blog, or do a YouTube video out of your Vampire the Masquerade story or anything like that, then that's completely fine. So yeah. We do notice there are, of course, some apps in the App Store which are unfortunately breaching these rights. So there are some which are either paid or have in-app purchases, which is not cool. But we're trying to monitor this, and it's a thing that unfortunately happens, but that's why we are having a Dark Pack, to make sure it's clear that what is legal and what is not legal. So if someone were to put a paid application that you have to pay money in order to create your own Vampire the Masquerade V5 characters, then that's not cool. And so we don't want that. But if people want to create these for free while gaining their funds via Patreon or Ko-fi or any other community-driven ways, then that's fine. So Dark Pack is updated, and I really hope that the new updates are going to be useful for you guys, because that's why we do these. We want them to be useful for you. And if you feel like something is not clear in the Dark Pack, that you have some questions after reading this, reach out to us, let me know. Our goal is ultimately to put as much in the Dark Pack as we legally can and as we possibly can. So this is something that we are exploring. But yeah, I hope that this is already helpful, but we want to make it even more helpful. So let us know what we can do more. All right. What about ad-powered apps? Basically, the apps need to be non-monetized. So that's a very clear rule in the Dark Pack. So as much as when it comes to YouTube or Twitch revenue, it's a little bit different. But because of the law and the way app stores work, the apps per se need to be free. So that's the requirement. Okay, so that is it when it comes to Dark Pack. I am happy that we have this published already. You can check it out on our website. And now for the very last news, we've published, this is like some little fun for the very end of the show. We've published, we have been working, I've been tinkering a little bit with the AR recently, and I really want to create some fun tools for the community to use that you can probably even use in your role-playing campaigns or just for fun, just to interact with the rest of the family. And one of the things I was always wondering about is how would you look like if your humanity dropped significantly? So that's interesting. Whether, if you've read Vampire the Masquerade V5 core book, you probably know that the Vampires of Humanity 4 and lower start to develop these features that make you look a little bit different than other humans out there. Basically, you look like a corpse, that's the first thing. And the second thing, your eyes might have a natural hue, natural color. And in general, you look menacing. You look weird. There's something very off about you. There's this obvious predatory aspect of your appearance, which makes humans flinch when they look at you. And that's what happens when you are a vampire that doesn't keep a track of your humanity, and you have a lot of stains, and then you accumulate losses through humanity. So I've been working on the filter that allows you to basically take a picture of yourself with a low humanity. And here are some examples of the use. Some people have been using it already, and it looks freaking cool. This is Josh from Strange Adventurous Gaming FTL. As you can see, he looks really, really creepy. This is Dot from Stitch of Fate, if you check it out this campaign, and she also looks really creepy. And this is Critical Bart, who also looks great with this filter. I've posted this on Instagram and on Facebook, so if you have either Insta or Facebook, you can use it on your phones. It's free. So yeah, I've been tinkering with. I'm being consumed right now by dots. I'm going to move here a little bit. If you have any ideas for what else we could do to make your personal photo taking or video making experience more interesting and more vampiric, let us know. I'm of course planning to make a Nosferatu filter eventually. It's going to be difficult, but that's something that I would love to do. But the low humanity one is the very first one I've made, and I'm pretty proud of the outcome. You can check it out on our Instagram. If you are wondering where, once you go to Insta on your mobile phone, it doesn't work on PC. But if you go to mobile Instagram, there's a little icon on Vampire the Masquerade Instagram with a face and a little star, it should be easily found in the UI. And that's where you can find this filter. You can use it for free, and let us know if you enjoy it. I did a lot of things. This might look like it's pretty simple, and there's like an eye color change, but once you will use it, you will see that there's a little bit more. There's a little mesh on your face, which makes your cheekbones a little bit more popping, and you have like more holes in your cheeks, so you look a little bit more dead on your face. And additionally, I very big kudos to family members who helped me out with testing this out. I actually reached out to one of the moderators that had experience working in the morgue, and she gave me some tips on the skin color to make it look right. So yeah, we went deep to make this one well, and I really hope that you guys will enjoy it. Anyway, I'm going to meet you guys next week. We're going to have another episode with cool guests on the board. I can give you a hint that it's going to be very much a woo episode with some werewolf stuff. So yeah, we're going to see each other next week. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining. I hope you liked the interview today. I hope you liked the news. And if you have any questions, let me know. There is something here on my profile, on the thing. Tip. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? This is creepy. This is like a secret message coded here. Oh, I see. It's a leftover from the dark pack. Okay. Interesting. Must be some La Sombra work going on in there. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. See you later. Goodbye.